Hey everybody, Stacy Nation here. I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about a topic that has come up pretty frequently. I've been doing a lot of work with schools and educators, and a question that often comes up when I'm doing these trainings is, hey Stacy, this kid is really triggering me and I don't know why. Like, there's a certain kid in my classroom and the triggers are huge. I feel triggered all the time by this student. What do I do about it? Great question. So there are 5 questions that I want you to ask yourself when you feel extra triggered by somebody in your life. It can be a student, it could be a friend, it could be someone you just met. So question number 1, are my basic needs met? Hangry is a real thing, friends. When we feel hungry, we don't have as big of a window of tolerance for people who are dysregulated, who have big motions. We feel a little bit more triggered. So we want to meet basic needs. Have I eaten? Am I thirsty? Have I drank enough water? Am I tired? Do I need rest? Those are really important pieces of basic needs. So question number 1, are my basic needs met? Question number 2, is that person's sensory system and the way they regulate their sensory system activating my sensory system? So remember that we have smaller windows of tolerance for people who have different sensory systems than ours, and we're always taking in sensory information. So I often tell people I could speak to a room full of 1,000 people and 900 of them could be moving in some way, and I can keep on speaking. But as soon as somebody in the audience is tapping that pen, I'm like, whoa, I don't even remember what I was gonna say. That is because my sensory system gets activated by that pen tapping. So think about your own sensory system. Are you bothered by lights? Are you bothered by certain sounds? Are you bothered by people chewing? Are you bothered by cold air or something being too warm? What is it about this person who might be presenting their sensory system in a different way? So are my basic needs met? Is their sensory system activating my sensory system? The next 3 questions are pretty difficult and a little bit deeper. So one question is, who does this person remind me of from our past? Very few times when we're triggered is it about the actual person that triggers us. It's often connected to a memory, an experience, something from our past. So we want to think about, who does this person remind us of? And that might take you just taking a little breath, taking a minute to just think about your past. Okay, so who does this person remind me of from my past? The next question is, when did I feel this feeling before? Sometimes we have a hard time identifying what the feeling is. If it's a student-teacher dynamic and the teacher is triggered by the student, sometimes it's that this student is maybe causing us to feel out of control. Maybe they're taking our control from us. We might feel embarrassed. We might feel fearful. So we want to really identify what the feeling is. And then we want to identify, when have we felt this feeling before? And a quick way to get to that is, where do you feel the feeling in your body? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your tummy? Do you feel it in your back or somewhere else in your body? And when did you feel that way before? I often give the example that people who go to a funeral or a wake or a celebration of life will oftentimes think about, when you're sitting there, you're thinking about the loss you've had, you'll think about all the losses you've had. And what you're doing is you're opening up a filing cabinet, and in that filing cabinet is the feeling of grief. And we reflect on all the times we've ever felt that grief. The same thing happens when we are triggered. Someone is making us feel a certain way, and our body is like, wait a minute, when we feel this way, this is what we do. We have to go in protection mode. So we want to identify, when have we felt this way before? Okay. And the last question I want you to ask is, what was going on with me at the age that this kiddo is at? So many of us have a journey in our life where maybe some pretty significant events occurred in our childhood. And sometimes when we work with kids the same age as when those significant events happened in our life, our little selves get activated. And so we want to really identify like, oh, okay, 8-year-old Stacy had a really difficult year. There's a lot of stuff she needs to process, and she needs to acknowledge and honor that part of her journey. And then on the other side of that, she'll be less triggered by 8-year-olds. So those are the 5 questions I encourage you to ask when you're feeling triggered. Are my basic needs met? Is their sensory system activating my sensory system? Who does this person remind me of from my past? When have I felt this way before? And what was I experiencing at the age of the person who is triggering me? Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Always happy to follow up with you. Have a great day.